Dedrek Carr on the offensive line play during training camp and the new offensive staff. This video is presented to you by NewOrleans.football. Let's get right into it.
Richie, yeah. I had a teammate.
My guy came right off the practice field. I mean, he's wearing his pads. Unbelievable. Wearing the pads, rolls up. Leave the helmet on. Whatever. Why take the helmet? Leave the helmet off. Have the cleats on. Click-clacking.
Richie Incognito reminds me a lot of this guy. I just keep pushing him to be more like Richie every day. So he's doing a good job.
Derek, do you want to play Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would like to. I think just getting out there and just hearing Clint's voice in the helmet, calling plays, getting the substitutions in and out. I think that'd just be good for our, us as an offense.
Yeah, I agree. People make a big deal out of preseason, do starters play or whatever. I think it's up to the player. I think if the player wants to play, if the player wants to kind of get through their reps, kind of wants to feel a game day situation, if he wants to, go through his rituals and just feel everything, like Derek said, like hear the voice, get used to a voice in the headset. What's that sound like? What's that, what's the cadence? What's all that? Like, that's what preseason is for. Preseason and training camp to an extent is for that. Like, people get really focused on this micro or this macro thing of like, oh, are we winning, right? Are we winning the game? Are we getting first downs? How many points did we score? That doesn't matter as much as the players getting comfortable, just the players getting used to what's their pregame routine. It's a little different because they're in Arizona for this game. They won't be in the dome, but if they're in the dome, it's like, where do I park? What time do I get there? Like things like that. Just feeling that game day kind of theater. And for someone like Derek with Clint Kubiak, all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's work on his calls to me in my headset. How's that sound? What's our conversation like? Or what's our communication like during the game? So I think Derek should play. Certainly if he wants to play, he should play.
We're not going to, how the preseason goes. It's very basic stuff. Very, very easy, simple. You don't want to show anything, all that kind of stuff. But even with that said, you're not game planning the team. I haven't seen any film, so you need to go out there and play. But I think just the operation and just getting in and out of the huddle with each other, getting used to it, getting back in that swing, I think. Yeah. Hopefully you knock some of that game day kind of rust off before you really get to the regular season.
There you go. Me and Derek on the same page.
We've talked about your philosophy on that in the past, and you were comfortable with not doing a lot of it. And then last year you had that great drive.
What? We got ads?
How about one time?
I mean, come on.
But I mean, did you walk away from last summer, September, thinking maybe more would have helped or anything like that?
I think every year is different. I really do believe that.
Agree.
I think last year it was nice to get out there and see the stadium for the first, be in front of the fans like that, all that kind of stuff. And I think you've already done that kind of stuff. I think now it's just more like the operational stuff.
Exactly.
It is a new offense. Like, I guess coming from my past, at Gruden. I mean, still to this day, he could tell me a play and I can go out there and run it. We were just on such a same page that part of it we didn't need to do. And really in the preseason, the way we played, we weren't even doing what we were going to do in the regular season anyway. So I think it's just different, But again, this year is new, and it's new for everybody. It's not just new.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Derek's saying. It is new. It's different every year. This year, I think as many reps as they can get, the better.
For me, it's new for everybody. So I think especially when it's new for everybody, hopefully we can get out there and just get a couple, whatever that looks like. I don't know what DA.
Yeah, two drives,
whether we are or not this game or whatever, but at some point you just hope to maybe go get a few.
Derek, the coaches have talked a lot about yards after catch. Just with these guys as skill players, do you think there's a lot more you guys can get out of that, and how much does it help you when there's just more space and they can pick some stuff up with their feet?
And speaking of yards after the catch, Nick put up a tweet. It was talking about yards after the catch for all the Shanahan tree quarterbacks. Everyone is over 5 yards of yards after the catch per completion. Derek last year was like low 4s. It was like 4.3, 4.4. So it ain't a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. This offense is going to... How about lights got just turned off? This offense is going to deliver the yak. It's going to have opportunity for yak, and we certainly need that. That in the NFL nowadays, you got to be able to get yards after the catch. So I'm excited to see how throughout the season we see more of that.
Absolutely. I think Coach Dub always talks about it starts with a mindset. that every time we all know guys in the NFL where
Yeah.
if they catch the ball, like, oh man, they could score, right? And I think with our guys, we have guys like that, and so man, and you guys have seen them, like how they're finishing, and the burst that they have after this. They're not just satisfied with making that catch. Their expectation is now I got to go make somebody miss, and usually at that level, you make one guy miss, then it's a touchdown. And so, I think that it starts with the mindset, and two, as a quarterback, it's exciting because you throw a 5-yard route, you throw a 10-yard route over the middle, and boom, all of a sudden it's 40, or boom, all of a sudden it's 60, and those kind of plays just break a game open. And so, for us, we have the guys that do it, and I just love their mindset. Dub is on them about it, and they've come in with that mindset of they're trying to score every time they touch it. And it's not just the ones, it's the twos, the three, everybody. Like, everyone has that mindset. And so
He's right, though. It is a mindset. There are some receivers who, when they catch it, they're down. They don't want to get tackled. They don't care. Other receivers, where it's catch it, they are turning up and they are trying to score every play. So it is a mindset.
You can tell when they're doing that, everyone's bought into it. So hopefully that leads to some big plays for us this year.
Derek, how do you see this line progressing? Because obviously you need to be out there a little bit in the preseason. You want to be out there with them and get that chemistry going too.
Yeah, I would say this. Like, I've been so impressed with how fast, it's a different system, right? Especially protection-wise. There's different things, different calls. I've been so impressed with how fast they picked it up, and I've been really impressed with the execution of it. We've had a few things. There was it wasn't the 2-minute drive we wanted today. They finally got us. I'll say that. Cam's always talking crap about these competitive drills. They finally stopped us. I think we're up 7-1. I don't know if that's the right count, but I'll just stick with it. But they got us today. But what you're saying is, like, you see guys really trying to do things the way they're taught, because if everyone does it the way they're taught, it usually ends up right. And so, again, these coaches have such a system that it takes everyone being on the same page. And so the more reps we can get being on the same page and doing it live bullets, all that.
Exactly. When you got a system-based offense like that, you got to have the reps.
I think it'd be just a good thing.
What's been your impression of y'all's pass rush?
Why are you not investing in tax liens?
Double dipping
seriously.
on the ends.
Why are you not investing
football,
into one
man?
of
They
the
are
most
keeping the lights
incredible-
on over there.
Really good. Yeah, really good. I think that not just interior, but on the edges too, like everybody, and guys moving, doing different things. We have so many guys that are versatile. They can do different things. Not all guys can go inside. Not all guys.
Yeah, word on the street is that Cam Jordan's been getting a lot of work inside. Word on the street is he's getting a lot of reps on the interior defensive line, which I thought was interesting.
Can just go outside. We got guys that can do both, and that creates a lot of problems. As just an offensive-minded guy for protection issues. And so I've been really impressed with the pass rush. I mean, just what they've shown, and but I've also been equally impressed with our line picking them up. They've given me, as you guys seen, great opportunities all camp for some deep
This must have been before Dedrek Carr was sacked 3 times in a row by Chase Young.
shots for some big plays and things like that. But the one thing you see is it's back and forth. Our whole camp has been back and forth, offense, defense, even period to period, and that just shows the competitive nature of our team. And so I've really seen that in the O&D line, but I've been really impressed. And, you see Chase Young just walk out here and you're like, I see why he was a top 5 pick, him just walking out to practice. And, he's very impressive when he comes out here, and, his get off, his motor, all that. But he's even better person. I just have found, just being here, that's how the Saints do things. They get good players, but they're also really good teammates, and you appreciate that just as a player.
Derek, what's one or two on your list of favorite things about this offense after that heavy volume, even in the last 2 weeks since we last talked?
I love the run game. There's some things in the run game that the way that they teach things and say things that I haven't heard before, and that's
I'm guessing, the run game obviously is a big thing. I'm assuming Derek probably enjoys how it's similar pre-snap, where it's all, we've talked about this before, but the system is set up to look the same but be executed differently on a per play basis to fool the defense. When that's the case, it's a little bit easier on Derek because he's making a read. He's doing a read here, read there, and executing versus having to take some 8-step drop back, whatever. So I'm thinking he's going to say that.
I'm not saying this to be funny, but it's like I got a lot of offenses that I've been in. I've been in a lot of different offenses. I've been in some offenses that have won Super Bowls, but some of the certain details on everybody's plate, like all 11 guys, is really, really cool. And, we can all look back to this history of this offense and see like guys that ran the ball well, and you're like, wow, now it makes sense. You're like, oh wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's been impressive. The play action game, the way.
Damn, I was going to guess play action.
The way that they call the game too, like we've had some mock like drive kind of things, and they're just without getting detailed, but there's some things that Clint does where you're like, man, as a quarterback, you're just like, wow, thank you, that's really cool, so for me, I've just been impressed, with the operation, but really that run game, play action, I mean it is what it all looks the same for the first 4 to 5 steps, and NFL football, that's an eternity,
There it is.
So it makes it really hard on defenders. So it's been cool to see.
Alvin,
Play action, run game, all the stuff we didn't have last year. So I'm glad Derek's talking about that.
used a word that made a lot of sense to me to describe it. He said intentional. He said everything seems very intentional.
Yeah, everything is intentional. It is it's exactly. This shirt is driving me crazy. I don't know what's going on with the collar. Exactly. Last year, there might as well have been a Wheel of Fortune, Vanna White style on the sideline, and Pete Carmichael was just spinning the wheel, and then wherever it landed, that's what they were calling. Like 3rd and 7, who cares, spin the wheel. 3rd and 3, who cares, spin the wheel. 3rd and 1, who cares, spin the wheel. This is not like that. This offense is so intentional because of exactly what I'm talking about, where they're showing the same 4 seconds, 5 seconds. They're showing the same that every time to then react to what the defense is doing. You can't react to what the defense is doing without being intentional. I'm not going to say every single play, but every single play that they're calling for a reason.
Is that rarer than we would think in an NFL offense?
It is. I would say this, and it's going to sound crazy when I say this, but the most impressive thing about our offensive coaching staff is that every single voice is saying the exact same thing, believes the exact same thing, and they're all into it.
Yeah.
And so
Good.
you can take, it's crazy to think that would be impressive, but that is an impressive thing. That, like, from this guy to this guy to that room,
You know how that happens? That happens because you get a guy, Clint Kubiak, with a concrete vision of his system, his scheme, and then you allow him to build his coaches who share in that vision and scheme. I love it. Like, that's how you get that. It was so disjointed because last year you had people who didn't even know what the hell the scheme was. There wasn't a scheme. There wasn't a system. They weren't bought into nothing. And then all of a sudden you move one coach here, one coach there. We did a total overhaul, and this is one of the positives of that overhaul.
They all see it and say it the same way. So there is no gray area. Like today, if I miss on a step, I'm gonna get called out. Derek, you got to be on that step because he's expecting to hit it here. It's like and it's that intentional, that intense every day. And as a player, you appreciate that because you're held to such a high standard, and you just try and meet it every day.
If that run game is where you expect it to be, where y'all want it to be, how much does that help you do your job?
Shoot, a run game and a play action based offense. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
I think that with this offense, that everything is off of that. So we got to establish that. We got to be able to do that.
Me and Derek are
kind of like I said last year. When I turn my back to the defense, they got to believe it. And then when I pull it back, it just helps the routes. It helps Chris. You don't have a linebacker.
Exactly, which is why I was so pissed off last year when we had Taysom Hill faking the run to Adam Prentice. You think the defense believed for a second that Taysom Hill was going to hand the ball off to Adam Prentice? No. Why were we doing that? That is a good example of not being intentional. That's a good example of just like, well, he's back there, do a play action. It's like, why? Who are we fooling? There's no one in this entire stadium that thinks Taysom's going to hand this ball off.
Biting down on the run, rather being in the window and having to try and throw it over and to make that perfect throw, and then it's tipped, it's picked. It's easier when he's in the A gap and you can just throw it normal. All of that stuff works together, and so yeah, we definitely want to get that started.
Derek, what changes for you when you have two younger backups? Does any...
Three heads.
Design a dream.
Goodness, ladies and gentlemen, get on over to New Orleans Live Football and subscribe to. Help these fellas out. Boost the numbers. They got 3 ads right in my face. Derek, don't look at me like that.
I've always so Matt Schaub, when I first came into the league, I had Matt Schaub, Trent Edwards, Matt McCoy. All of those guys were unbelievable teachers, unbelievable helpers, especially Schaubby. Like Schaubby, Like he, you know, I remember
Trent Edwards, I want to say went to Stanford. I want to say Matt McGloin. All right, let me see if I can do this. We did Matt Schaub last time. It was Virginia. I'm pretty sure Trent Edwards is Stanford. And Matt McGloin, I'm thinking Big Ten. All right, ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Trent Edwards, college, Stanford. Oh boy. I mean, does anybody know ball like me? All right, let's think about Matt McGloin. I feel like Matt McGloin, I want to say in my head it's between Penn State, Purdue, and Michigan State. I think I'm going to go Penn State. Matt McGloin. Ah, man, Matt McGloin. I gotta go with my gut. I'm gonna go Penn State. Let's see. Here we go. Matt McGloin. Penn State. Ladies and gentlemen, who else can just hear 3 random players as average as Matt Schaub, Trent Edwards, and Matt McGloin, and with absolutely live on stream, can, in front of millions, can sit here and say, oh yeah, let me see, Trent Edwards, Stanford, Matt McGloin, Penn State. Can we get something in the chat? Some congratulations, some gold medals, some clapping hands, something. Who else can put on a show like this? Wow. Just right there. Boom. I'm glad I said Penn State and not Purdue. Easy. Matt McGloin, Trent Edwards, Matt Schaub. Like it's nothing.
we're in games, I would do something. The coach, but you can't do that. He's like, no, you told him during the week. Like, and so like for me, when I, like last year with Jake, or this year with both of them, man, I just try and pour out every bit of knowledge, every single thing, that just, I really believe this, that some things you gain by working hard, some things you just gain by inheritance.
There you go.
The fact that they came here,
I'm
just trying to give as much to them as I can, so that when they go out there, they can just be the best players they could ever be. And so, they're already both super talented. It's going to be really fun to watch them play in these games. They've been making. Today was awesome. Watching them make some of these throws was awesome. But just the mentality, keeping even keel. Because I was an emotional person. We got two guys that like to get excited too. So you try your best to stay the same for a long season, long game. So I just try and pour into their life, man. I just help them as much as I can. As much as I can give while I'm still trying to do my job.
Yeah. Derek, it seems like Chris Olave has been relied on a lot just with so many receivers hurt.
Yeah.
How do you think, this being your second training camp with him, that he's kind of handled the maturity and growth to like the true number one receiver with Mike now gone?
Yeah, I think just different this year is like, with Mike was coming off the injury last year, so there's still like some gray area,
Yeah, there is no gray area now. Chris Olave is the one, and he's got to step into that role. He's got to step in and be the one. He has to be the absolute playmaker. He has to be the best receiver in the room, the best receiver on game day. And so he's going to have to be held to a higher standard this season as well.
How's he feeling? What do the reps look like? Who's getting this route? All that kind of stuff. Whereas this year, like, Chris knew coming into off-season and into camp, he's the guy. And so I think just that alone took out some gray area for him. Like, what is my role? What routes am I going to be running? Like, every time he sees a play, he's like, yeah, I know what I'm running. I know where you want me to be, And I think for him, that eliminates the gray area, and that eliminates any kind of indecision. Like, he's like, I got to run my best route all the time now.
Yeah.
I got to be
100%. He's supposed to get the ball every time now, like in his head. So, run your best route. Every play is your best play.
On my stuff, and you guys have seen him. Like, he's working. He's working really hard, and he's grinding. Through it, and even with all, the guys that have been hurt or whatever, he's stepped up and said, I don't care if everyone knows the ball's coming to me. Just keep throwing it to me. And so, I think just that mindset alone. I think the position that he's in now is just different than, I guess, the position we were in last year.
Derek, is this your sixth offense?
It'll be a soundbite if I can stand up here and count. I'm not sure. It might be 7. 7 or 8. I'll count after this.
What's it like? What's it just like when you're starting over in a new one? Just like what is it?
Yeah.
What's the process like?
So I've learned a lot on how to do that.
That is crazy to think that Dedrek Carr has been in the league for 11 years and he has 8 new offenses. Almost every single year of his career, he has been asked to learn a brand new offense.
You know, every day at practice, you know, the main thing for me, I'll say it this way, is reps. You got to get reps. You got to say it. You got to say it. You got to see it. You got to do it. You got to draw it. You got to do all that kind of stuff. And so, I do a little drill every night before I go to bed on, you know, that stuff that I need to go on that day. And I've been doing it since the off season. Doing off-season training camp, and then I come out to practice, and I run through the practice beforehand. So what it was practice 13, so for me it's practice 26. You know, like I just more reps, more intention. You know.
Yeah, we talked about that this week. Dedrek Carr telling us that he practices twice a day. He runs through the entire practice on his own before practice, then runs it through with the team.
Come out to walk through. I'm working on other stuff when we don't have to be doing anything. I'm working on a different part of our offense, just so I'm getting all those reps, and I feel like you know, we can put on a piece of paper, okay, this is the reps we're going to get, and you kind of trust in that as a player. But the reality is we need to be farther ahead.
Yeah, I was watching a video actually about I was a boxer, and he was talking about training and practicing, how he whatever, and you know he was talking about you can go to the gym for a couple hours a day every day, and that's fine, but he said like if I'm standing still, I'm shadow boxing. If I'm walking, I'm going to do it on my the balls of my feet. If I'm just sitting at home, I'm sitting at home like this, moving my head around. Like, if you really want to be great, if you really want to be at that high level like that, yeah, you got to find the extra time to do it. Whether that is before practice, after practice, before bed, when you first wake up, like always be thinking about it, always be doing it, always be practicing something. You know, whether you're that boxer who, if you're watching TV for an hour, you know, shadow box while you're watching TV. That's an extra hour of practice, an extra hour of reps. Your body's getting used to it. You know, same with Carr, what he's talking about. So at that level, that really is how it is. I'm sure Tom Brady and the greats would tell you the same thing, where they were probably doing something, thinking or doing almost every hour of the day.
And so for me, I just took it upon myself to just make sure I just try. I told you I was going to do everything I can in my power to, you know, for our city, for our organization, that, you know, it is a new offense, but that I'm ready to go, you know, from the get-go. And so that's just some of the ways that I've been trying to do it this year that maybe have been a little different than my past.
Derek, when you're talking about everybody, where you might not be able to answer this question, but when you're talking about every coach being like same voice, same page, is that all coming from Clint? You know, is that like kind of top down?
I think it's they all come from a system that's just like when it got birthed. This is everyone's on the same page. This is the running game. This is what the wideouts do.
That's what I'm saying. They're all exactly what I was talking about when I was talking about Clint building his team. All of these guys are bought into this system. This is what they know. This is who they are. It's a system-based offense. So if they're all from the same system, they believe this is how you run block. This is how you pass block. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. It's not one guy from the Shanahan tree and one guy from Gruden and one guy from, you know, Andy Reid or one guy from Sean Payton. It is all guys who believe that football or offense is done one way, and that creates a very cohesive voice.
This is what the quarterback should do, and it was taught that way. And so everyone, I think, that has come from that, just if you've come from that, when as soon as you get in the room, yep, that's how it's taught, and that's how you do it. You know, and I've been in rooms where there's different philosophies, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what's the best one for us? It's like there is no gray area on what our philosophy is.
Me and Derek are locked in
with the coaches. You know, like as a player, as a veteran player, it's just nice to see every coach on the same page. You know, and so, you know, when everyone's rowing in the same direction, you know, you're going to eventually get there, and hopefully we get there fast. But just as a player, you just appreciate that because that's not always the case.
Thanks, Eric.
Good. Yeah. Appreciate.
I feel great. I mean, guys, listen, I might be drinking the Kool-Aid, whatever, but I feel great about where Dedrek Carr is right now. Like, he just sounds so much more confident. He sounds so much more genuine. He seems so much more excited about the team. He seems so much more excited about the offense. Everyone is saying the same thing. Everyone is saying Clint Kubiak is this. He's a genius. He's changing the team. Everyone is saying it's energized. Everyone's saying we're clicking. Everyone's saying that Olave's taking a step. I mean, it's just this is a different team. And when I've got people telling me, there's no way we can win 10 games with Dedrek Carr and Dennis Allen, they must not be watching these videos. They must not be listening to these interviews. Because if you listen to this, like that was 13 minutes long. At the end of that 13 minutes, I was sitting here thinking like, damn, we might be able to win 12 games. I'm like, this team, I'm believing. I'm bought in. I am believing. I love to hear this. I mean, preseason is in 2 days. Thursday night, we're doing this live. Saturday, we're going to see it, and then we're going to keep seeing it until the regular season, and then we are a month away from week 1.